So what this is,
The monkey business.
have you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's huge because you get a room full of people together. They all watch the video. None of them see the same thing. They get the counts wrong. Some of them don't see the gorilla. Half of them don't see the gorilla. A freaking gorilla walking across the stage. And the point that I make with this video is, yes, and I like what you wrote over there, humans are intrinsically good. We are intrinsically good. We care about our fellow man or woman. We are also intrinsically task-oriented. Give us a task and we will do that task. And we're going to get tunnel vision, right? We're going to be focused on that task and lose sight of the bigger picture. So why do our complex processes bump into one another? Why do we do things? And I do the whole... Do you ever see Mean Girls?
Yeah.
There's a scene in Mean Girls where all the girls are called into the gym because they're in a state of disaster. And Regina George, who's like the evil mean girl, raises her hand and says, I don't really agree that all of us should be here because some of us are just victims, and I don't understand why we all have to be punished. And the teacher, the female teacher, goes, oh, that's a good point, Regina. Raise your hand if you've ever felt personally victimized by Regina George. And the whole gym puts up their hand. So I kind of use the same dynamic and say, okay, raise your hand if you've ever had a problem caused in your area by another department. And everybody's like, oh, hell yeah. Right? Everybody's got a gripe at some other department in the house. And then I push them and I say, okay, now raise your hand if you've ever knowingly done something and you know it caused a problem downstream for somebody else. And invariably, everybody's like, ooh, yeah, okay, I've done that. And so the point is okay, wait a minute. You know, we are intrinsically good, yet we knowingly do this to each other. And you ask the question why, and it's because you get focused. And so this goes a long way with that whole blame culture versus accountability. We can't come from a place where we believe people do things intentionally, right? But we have to be able to see this stuff, right? Big part of our problem is we can't fix what we can't see. Stuff goes wrong all over the place, and we feel the pinch, but we don't know where it's coming from. And so we have absolutely no idea how to handle it. Another story I tell is from Crucial Conversations about telling ourselves stories, and how when something bad happens to you, your inclination is to, well, it's because it's always that way up there. It's a people problem. It's a people problem, thus driving emotion, right? But that's sort of the justification for visual management. Visual means objective. I've got a run chart, and by the way, on your Gemma board, so do you. We're using the same tool here. So there's no like tension between us. All right, you're measuring something, I'm measuring something. I get it. Like, show me the data. And then, of course, this is sort of a paradigm shift, right, from traditional management, which is very hidden. Make your numbers or I'll find somebody who will. For the love of God, do not tell me about your problems. I like leaders who fix problems, not that tell me about problems. Well, that creates a culture of hiding problems. Cumbersome, right? If we're constantly looking for a report, or we're trying to set up meetings and meetings for meetings because we don't have the information, in a lot of cases, leaders are making decisions without the appropriate information. There was a story that I tell in Dallas. I was listening to an A-team at a circular table discussing the patient experience problem. And all 5 executives had a different solution. One wanted the stoplights. One wanted to replace every wheel on every car in the house. One wanted to replace hinges on doors. The CNO said it was an accountability issue. She just needed to whip her nurses and tell them to stop being loud outside at night. One of them said, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. It's semi-private rooms. All 5 of them had a different opinion. And we're faced with situations like that all the time, not because any one solution was inherently or innately bad. We don't have consensus on what the problem is. And Joe Badalian about knocked my taste out of my mouth because I suggested to him, I said, why do you think you understand what your patient satisfaction problem is? And he says, I've got a survey that tells me so. It's a quietness at night problem on these 2 floors. So how do you know what the quietness at night problem is? Because it's always the same thing. It's beep, things going beep in the night. It's this, it's this, it's this. How do you know that, Joe? He can't know that. He has anecdotally, he knows in his mind what he thinks it probably is. He has no clue what his quietness at night issue is. But he's going to make a snap decision and affect a very big change on those 2 nursing units based on what he thinks is going on. So that's traditional.